Hey everybody, welcome back to AWS On Air. If you're just tuning in, this is your opportunity to learn more about some of the launches here at reInvent. I have here a very exciting service that I want to discuss. But before we jump into that, let's do a quick round of introduction. My co-host, Veliswa, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Shashank. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I'm Veliswa Boya. I'm a developer advocate here at AWS. I'm joining all of you all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Ooh, nice. Welcome, Veliswa. And we have our service experts here, Santosh and Mohan. Santosh, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I'm Santosh Pavani. I'm a product manager in the SageMaker Inference team and joining from the Bay Area.
Awesome. Welcome, Santosh. Mohan?
Hey, I'm Mohan Hawandi. I'm a senior engineer in SageMaker team. I'm joining from Seattle.
Awesome. So welcome, and let's jump right in. I think this is a very exciting topic. It's a topic that's close to my heart because I've answered this question so many times to so many customers. So, Santosh, I'll let you start. Tell us what we launched today.
Sure. So what we launched today is Amazon SageMaker Inference Recommender. It's a new feature in SageMaker that helps reduce the time required to get your ML models into production. And the way it does it is by automating load testing and optimizing your model performance across different instances.
Awesome. So if I'm hearing this right, when you deploy a model, a customer may not know where to deploy, what type of instance to deploy. So the Inference Recommender will make those recommendations for you.
That's right. So when you're deploying a model, there's lots of things to think about. You have, especially on SageMaker, you have 70 plus EC2 ML instance types to deploy on. You have to think about the type of hardware, whether it's CPU, GPU, and then all the tuning and parameters you'd have to set for your hardware, model server, and kernel libraries. So all of this is automated by SageMaker Inference Recommender, and it helps you run custom performance and load tests for different instance types.
Nice. You said 72. I was wondering, only 72? I thought you. That's kind of cool, right? Every time I log in, there are more new instance types, and I'm more than excited because there's more options for me. I think choice is good, options are good, but you have more options, which means you have to choose, which means you have to understand each of these options. So I think this service is in a great place to help make those recommendations. That's awesome. I have so many questions. Veliswa, did you want to jump in and ask anything? I heard you.
So what I would ask is, so your customer for this, you are targeting a data scientist, right? So this would be someone who is building those models, right?
So the customers are data scientists and ML ops engineers. So the difference is data scientists, they might be deploying some models into production on their own, or they want to quickly identify what's a reasonable instance type that meets their cost and latency and throughput constraints. While an ML ops engineer, they regularly perform load tests and performance tests as part of their deployment, and this is also something SageMaker helps customize and automate.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so this is clearly helpful, right? Like I would use this because if it's going to help me choose the right instance for my deployment, then I'd rather the tool tell me than me figure out. What were customers doing before this tool? I imagine were customers just going through each of these options, figuring it out? What are the pain points that they had that prompted us to sort of add this capability?
Yeah. So I mentioned there's the instance type selection, but even if you think about the process of testing, making sure your model in production is meeting your business and application requirements, there's a lot of work and load testing that needs to be done to identify is the latency, the response time of your model meeting your requirement, is the throughput, the number of requests it can handle within a given period of time meeting your requirements. those are questions that require testing infrastructure that you have to maintain and manual optimization code you have to write for every piece of hardware. And these are the tasks that Inference Recommender automates.
So as you're talking about this, Santosh, I'm thinking a customer who already has models in production is going to be very excited to hear about this. Can you go back and apply to already deployed models, or is this going forward from new models?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is basically for any real-time endpoints that you're deploying on SageMaker. And if you have an existing endpoint, you can still use Inference Recommender with your model, container, payload details and refresh your endpoints. We have customers that said we deployed an endpoint 2 years ago. We don't know what new instance types are out. We want to see if we can get better performance, better price.
Right. So you're saying if customers already chosen a deployment instance, they may not know it might not be the best one for them. Maybe at that point in time, or since then we've had new instances, and one of those could be better for them. They just don't know. They could, potentially lead to cost savings, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned container and payload. So I want to double click on that. So are there specific frameworks or tools that this would work with, or customers can bring custom containers, or what are some of the different ways customers could use this to get recommendations?
Yeah. Mohan, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So today we support all the use cases. So you can bring your container, which can be a deep learning container that we offer, or you can bring your own container, which is build your own container mechanism. So we don't restrict ourselves with a specific container. So we support all the containers that is available today in SageMaker.
That's awesome. So for some of our users who are not familiar with, AWS provides deep learning containers, right, with popular frameworks, which are TensorFlow and PyTorch and MX and various others, and these are optimized to run on AWS and they're tested by AWS. But you're saying that customers can bring their own container image, so you don't care. So you just provide a container image and you'll use it to give recommendations, right?
Yeah, and we expect a sample payload along with your container that would help us in doing a benchmark against your container and can provide a recommendation based on that.
Right. And sample payload is basically the type of request that would come in the real world, and you have a sample version of it that you would use to get these instance recommendations.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So I think it's time, Veliswa, isn't it?
I was going to say, I was going to cut your next question and say, demo, please.
I know. Yeah, I know. I want to see code and I want to see a sample. So, Mohan, I know you have a demo for us. Take it away. This is what we love. We want to see the API. We want to see all the, developer goodness here.
Cool. Yeah, sure. So in this particular demo, I'm using SageMaker Studio, which offers me to have my notebook in there. And this is the notebook that I'm going to use for the demonstration. I'm using a ResNet 50, one of the model in Keras. So I download the model and package it for recommendation. And I also pick a sample payload, in this case, couple of images. So let me jump on to the brief overview about this particular service that we are launching. So like Santosh mentioned, we are able to work on all the 70 plus instance, able to tune it. And we also provide a scaling value. So in some cases that you want to scale your application, so meaning that you need to scale the infrastructure which this inference is being loaded. So we are also providing the scaling values. At the same time, we also trying few optimization in the backend, like compilation in few frameworks. So let me jump on to
Mohan, quick question, just so I understand. What does scaling refer to here? Is it that you want to scale out to more number of instances because you have a lot more requests coming in? Is that what you're referring to when you say scaling?
That's a very good question. So in some cases, when customer is deploying this particular model in production and they want to more than a single host can offer, they want to scale this particular inference infrastructure to multiple instances.
Right.
So SageMaker hosting does support you to auto scale. At the same time, it also enables you to specify the initial scaling number. So Inference Recommender is going to provide the recommendation on your scaling values as well.
That is really cool. Yeah, you don't know ahead of time, right? That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, based on your traffic pattern, we are able to recommend the scaling values as well. And on the back end, we are also trying out the compilation for you, so that in case if compiled artifacts is going to perform better in terms of the price performance, we are going to recommend the compiled artifacts for you as well.
Nice. So these are all the model optimization that can yield better throughput, like lower latency, and you would do this automatically. You will compile
Yeah,
the model and see if you can get better performance.
that's right. We do this automatically.
That's really cool. Yeah, this is getting more and more exciting as you go through this.
So just for me, Mohan, just a quick reminder. So by the time you're here, you've already built your model, right? You just want to deploy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the model that has been trained in SageMaker, or you have the model that is available open source and you want to deploy it for your use case. In either case, we are allowing the customers to get a recommendation so that they can deploy it in a much effective and cost effective way, right? Like it is not just quickly deploying; it is also like giving the recommendation that is much better in terms of the performance.
Okay.
Awesome. So let's take a look at the how we achieve this now.
Yeah. So like Santosh mentioned, we offer two experience. One is default. In default case, we just take model and the payload for recommendation. The next is the advanced case for MLOps engineer who want to tune the model for the traffic that they are seeing in their production workflow, and at the same time has a latency and throughput requirement. So first, I'm going to dive into the default experience, and then we will move into the advanced case.
Nice. Would you say there's a customer split between the default and advanced, in the sense like a data scientist who doesn't have a lot of support from ops but still wants to deploy will preferably use default, whereas an ops ML ops person who understands the nitty-gritty of hosting, and they would prefer an advanced, right?
That's totally right. At the same time, even the MLOps engineer want to try the default case in the cases like they want to try, like you never know that there are these instances that are performing better for you. The default case would give you some of the combination that you never even thought about. So even for MLOps engineer, we prefer you to try with the default, because the default, we try to put all our knowledge that we have collected so far in the default use case.
So it's like embodies AWS experience in some sense, right? Like
that's right.
That's a good point. Like it's going to give you options that you never even thought about, and you want to try that first.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. So moving on, so in this particular demo, so I'm using the ResNet 50. Like I mentioned before, I packaged the model, and I have a payload as well. Like I mentioned before, I package it. Finally, I build a model in the model registry. So model registry is a centralized place where you can have a model and its artifacts combined together. So let me go to model registry.
So you mentioned a few things. You said you create a payload, which is basically the sample request that's going to hit the endpoint, right? Like an image or video or something like that.
Yep.
And then you said model registry. So this is a feature in SageMaker that lets you package models. You said, right?
Yeah, that's right. So model registry is an existing service that is available in SageMaker today, where you can bundle the model along with its metadata. So you can have the sample payload linked to it. You can
nice.
have more information about the model, like what the model is about. We are introducing the term called domain and task. So domain is like more like giving you a high level area about what kind of ML problem that you are solving. And task is a place where you are very specific about what problem you are solving.
So these are enhancements to the existing model. So model registry feature exists today, and these are enhancements that allow you to specify. Previously, it was just the model and the artifact. Now you have domain, and what else you said? Domain and
task. So these
task.
are the
So these are information that you need. Say Inference Recommender needs in order to make those recommendations.
It is not a mandatory field, but these information will help you in getting a better recommendation. Because as we know more about the model, we can be able to provide better recommendation for you.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's see where the magic happens, where you actually.
So this is all the prep work. So once the model is being created in the model registry, now you can use the inference recommender. Like I mentioned before, we are looking into the default experience where we just expect the model package version, which we have built in the previous step. So over here, we just the create inference recommendation job is the API that we are introducing for inference recommender. And you can pass the model package that you have built in the previous section.
Okay.
So this is a ephemeral job. It will take like 30 to 1 hour. And we are working to improve this particular timeline, but currently it is like 30 to 1 hour. So once the job is completed, you
like
will
cooking show. I love the cooking show reference. Like you put in the oven and now here's the pie, right? Here's the cake or pie. Show the cake. Show the cake.
Yeah. So here is the job that I have created before, and I'm going to run it here to get the recommendation. So in this particular job, I have used ResNet 50 as the model, and these are the recommendation that Inference Recommender is providing. So I'll take a pause here and want to slowly look into the results that we are providing. We are providing the instance type for you to pick, along with the tuning parameters. So the recommender already tuned this particular model and knew that these parameters are going to perform much better than the default values. So this is a advance to the performance that you are getting along with the instance type. Next, it also recommends the initial instance count. This is the scaling value that we have talked about, right? So these are the information that the recommender provides. It also provides you with few benchmarking information so that you can make a choice on which one to pick in this recommendation.
Nice.
So we also provide invocations, model latency, so that and cost per performance, cost per hour, cost per inference. So these metrics would help you to narrow down the recommendation for your use case. In case if you're looking for a low latency, then you would pick on an instance that provide better in terms of the model latency. If you're looking for a high throughput, you would be looking at the maximum invocation. And if you're looking for a use case that that has a request randomly, then you would be looking at cost per hour, right?
Awesome.
These are the metrics that you can help use to make a choice in these recommendations.
Okay.
This is really cool. Thanks, Mohan. I mean, I can't imagine doing this manually, like as an individual going through. So
Exactly.
we're close to the end of the show here. So this was really helpful. Thank you. So SageMaker Inference Recommender, runs all these automated jobs, gives you all these options. So there are resources, right, Santosh? There's a web page, and you have a session tomorrow as well, right? On this topic. So if you're at reInvent, folks, feel free to attend to learn more. So thank you for taking time to be here, Santosh, Mohan. Yeah. So Velsva, any last words before we wrap up?
No, this is really exciting. Yeah,
Yeah,
can't wait to get started and try this out. Awesome.
I know. So stick around for more live streams. Until then, see you. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.